We're good. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Paul,
Here.
Commissioner Jordan,
Here.
Commissioner Renner.
Here. Thank you very much. Do we have public comment on persons who wish to speak live on Patrick King potential for Little Beaver?
Sorry, that's my notes from the last meeting. We don't have anyone registered to speak live, but we do have one person that submitted general public comment.
And can you mention that person's name?
Serena Fish.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, persons who emailed public comments on 7/14/20. We have Jennifer Weber and Serena Fish, and we probably have, all the liquor commissioners probably read those comments, but go ahead if you, I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, can you just mention their names?
So Jennifer Weber actually submitted her public comment for the item for Cadillac Jacks. And as I mentioned, Serena Fish submitted general public comment.
Okay, thank you very
With
much.
respect to Ms. Weber's comment, I'd suggest that we consider that and read it into the record during that particular part of the public hearing that deals with Cadillac Jack's request.
Well, certainly we would include that. Yeah, I mean, isn't that
Right.
sort of standard operating procedure, Mr. Boyle?
It is. I was just pointing it out.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Mayor.
thank you. Yeah, that was, was a given. Okay, consideration, next on number 4, an action to approve minutes from the March 10th regular Liquor Commission meeting. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
I motion to approve.
I'll
Moved by-
second.
Moved by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner Jordan. Any corrections? Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
What?
I was just pointing out they all have to be roll call votes due to the recent amendments to the Open Minutes Act.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing. Okay, we're
I
fine,
know.
George.
Sorry, excuse me.
Okay, thanks, George. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, thank you very much. And now we move right along to our public hearing and action on the application of Ralban, that is Cadillac Jacks at 1507 South Main Street, requesting to redefine their approved area for consumption with a permit extension of premises to allow an outdoor service and consumption as requested by the City Clerk Department. I'm opening the public meeting at 4:06. And are there people who are registered to participate in public comment, Madam Clerk?
We don't have anybody registered, but we just have the one that submitted an emailed public comment.
Okay, that's fine. And at this point, let's see. Do we have anybody? Either liquor commissioners have any questions or concerns about this?
May I, excuse me, Mayor, I know I've been so far engaging in the obvious, but is the petitioner or any representative for the applicant present or registered or otherwise appearing in the meeting?
Anyone?
Sorry, I was muted. I don't have anyone that is in attendance, virtually or in person.
Okay. Alrighty, well, thank you very much. At this point, any other comments or concerns here? Mr. Boyle, since we have no comments, concerns, contrary viewpoints, what's your recommendation?
Well, first of all, we do the public comment that was received was rather negative to the proposal, and I would suggest that, and I know myself, I had some questions with respect to the application. I would suggest that since it is a request, it is the burden of the applicant to be there to answer questions and to support the request affirmatively before we even get to the negative things. So I would suggest that it either be continued or denied. I would think that perhaps just in deference to the different rules that we're all operating under and potential confusions, that perhaps we'd want to continue it to the next date certain. so that we could develop, there could be a record and a hearing and information developed. The negative comment we have received, which is thus far the only thing in the record other than the application, does talk about effects on the neighborhood and make certain statements that I think that it would behoove us to have the applicant address, and they're not here to do that, nor they may not have even received a copy of this.
Okay. Well, that's
So I would suggest, bottom line, I'd suggest it either be continued or
no,
denied, and I would
think-
suggest continued.
I hear. I think it's pretty clear what you're suggesting. The only difficulty is, okay, are we really going to, and I mean this more rhetorically, not pursue something because we got one email? And that's the concern that I would have. The other is we do not have someone here to address that. But Mr. Boyle, did you want to say anything to that?
Well, when someone is requesting something, we have traditionally required them to be here to provide, to make their request. We usually don't allow for questions, particularly of this type, without someone appearing to answer, first of all, make the case why they should have their request granted,
Sure.
and second of all, answer questions.
Sure. So again, I appreciate that, and my inclination is to go with what you're suggesting. I am concerned that there's a counterpoint. One point is the person requesting this did not show, and I think that's the most important thing. Second is, just because we get one email does not mean that our entire government and other things come to a grinding halt because we've got an email and there might be a question. I just want to make that clear for our
Sure.
record. At this point, commissioners, I'm looking to Commissioner Jordan and Commissioner Powell. Any thoughts on this? Should we just go ahead and propose to consider this next month? Commissioner Jordan, I'm going to start with you, Commissioner Jordan, because you're not muted. Oh, Commissioner Powell isn't either. Yeah, thanks.
Well, I guess my opinion would be, in light of the confusion to start with, we probably should consider extending it until we can confirm whether or not they want to appear. And if not, then I think we can proceed as normal.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Powell.
I agree. Without someone here to answer any sort of questions about what they're asking for, it's kind of hard to make a decision, especially
Okay.
when there's negative comments coming at this proposal.
Right. No, thank you. Very wise comments. And so at this point, we're not moving forward. Mr. Boyle, can you just go ahead and notify the applicants?
Yes, just parliamentary wise, there is, rather than a general continuance, there'd be a motion to continue to a date certain. May we have that? Or
Could we have a motion to continue this to the next Liquor Commission meeting? And
Yes,
if we don't hear
August
anything,
11th.
August 11th, if we don't hear anything, then we'll make that determination on August 11th. Do I have a motion to that effect to just continue this?
I'll make a motion, we continue till August 11th.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Gordon, and second by Commissioner Powell. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and continue that. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Boyle. Thank you, everybody else. Next, we move on to item number 6, which is a change of ownership with Flingers. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Mr. Boyle very, very briefly. Is there anything that we need to be concerned about? Any red flags here? Or is this just something that we need to be aware of for the public record? And we do have Mr. Freeman on the phone.
Yes, and we have both of them, both the seller and the buyer appearing, it's my understanding.
Yes.
And we don't necessarily have concerns, but when there's a 100% change in ownership, as there is in this case, we do have people appear in order to have the public and others be aware of what's happening. and also so that there is, the vetting of the applicant. So having said that, legal does not have any concerns with either the buyer or the seller at this point.
And Madam Clerk, just to make sure,
I-
we don't have anybody that is speaking, that wants to speak on this. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. At this point, anybody, Mr. Fruin, anybody want to add anything? I mean, I think this is pretty straightforward, but anybody want to add anything? I don't see a hand up. So at this point, this is just for our purposes to know that this is happening, and the public hearing is closed. Mr. Boyle, you sound like you want to add.
I just wanted to say that this had been styled as the purchase of one corporation by another, and I think
Yeah,
that's where it's still proceeding.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty clear.
Well, they had also talked about possibly one corporation, the seller corporation simply being purchased in its entirety. But just to get clear as to what the request is, perhaps
Right.
one of the
But
people from
would
the
we
applicant
ca-
could
Let me
just-
ask you this, if that were the case, though, would we care?
We'd care in terms of, I think, making a decision as to what we're approving, but ultimately it doesn't make too much difference.
Okay,
If-
all right, thank you. Thanks, I think we're finished here. Let's move on then to public hearing and action on the application of Empire Buds, and that is crafted to be located at 1101, not Empire, Airport Road. Oh, excuse me. Oh, we did have to, excuse me. Bad, Liquor Commissioner and Mayor. Okay, we did need a motion to approve the previous action. That was not just,
Yes.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, shoot. Okay, here I go again, going too quickly. Is there a motion to approve this action? I'm sorry, from our commissioners.
I motion to approve this action.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Powell. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Is
for
the
pulling
action
my-
reference to change of ownership?
Yes. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
pulling my butt out of a meat grinder. At this point, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Boyle. At this point, we open up the next public hearing, which is on the application of Empire Buds at 1101 Airport Road. And that's tavern, all types of liquor, alcohol, package and sales on Sunday, as requested by the clerk's department. And at this point, has anyone registered to speak for or against this, Madam Clerk?
No, they have not.
Okay, thank you very much. Any of the commissioners want to make a comment, or Mr. Boyle?
This being a new application, I'm surprised that no one is here from the applicant. That's
Yeah,
I
and
am
we know that
here.
that's
I
happened,
mean,
but this is also
my
the time
degree
of
of surprise.
COVID, so.
Excuse me. My degree of surprise, I suppose, is irrelevant, except that it is a new business, and normally there'd be someone here to describe it and to answer questions for it.
I apologize, George. I meant that no one was registered for public comment, but we do have one of the partners here to speak.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, if you could ask one of the partners who's here to speak, if they could, whatever they'd want to add to this or to make clear.
May we also have them sworn, Mayor, as is the creation hearing?
Oh, okay, all right. Would you go ahead and swear them in? Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hayward, if you can raise your
Yes.
right hand, please. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I certainly do.
Well, go ahead. Anything you want to clarify on this? I don't know that there are any particular questions that we have, but anything you want to clarify as we're going down this approval path?
I guess it was pretty well laid out in the application, but this is a kind of a food court type situation where we have a franchise restaurant. It's called Pokeworks, which can be accessed from the inside food court area. And then we have a coffee company at the back of that with also a drive-through. And then what we're asking for is what we call crafted. That's our bar area there, which will serve beer and liquor inside, and then also service the outdoor bocce ball, volleyball courts through a walk-up window. And it's pretty pivotal to have the liquor license if we're going to get the volleyball players out there and that sort of thing. So that's our business case for it.
So I'm gonna turn this over and ask if we have questions from either Commissioner Jordan or Commissioner Powell. Or
Go ahead.
comments.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Commissioner Jordan.
I suppose going back to the qualifications, has everyone been registered as far as the requirements?
And you mean like Bassett certifications or?
Yes, Bassett would one, yes.
Yes, I took early retirement to be the on-site manager. So I'm Bassett certified, and one of our requirements for employment, anything to do with alcohol whatsoever, will be Bassett certification.
I suppose the other thing would be the training, but then how are you going to manage as far as IDs and so forth goes, since it's going to be open to the general public?
Sure. Well, we of course, I was a bartender for 5 years, so I in my past, so I've done this, and I retired as a training specialist from the federal court, so that's my forte, I guess. But I'll be handling. We will have a bar manager full time. We will have actually a manager for each of the 3 businesses, and we will train people in addition to that certification what to look for. Card anybody that looks under 35, any of that type of thing, and what to look for over serving. And the outdoor area, it will be fenced in and secured, so we'll have an idea of what's going on out there as far as people drinking and that sort of thing. We also I was thinking of this today with the COVID requirements. There will be people constantly cleaning any area that anybody has touched. So we're going to have more hands, more eyes on the situation than if there were not a COVID crisis.
I suppose my question would be then, in other words, they can't access the fenced in area without going through the facility itself.
That's right. That's right. They'd have to go in through, and that there's only one, the bar is actually quite small. There's only one location to get their drinks, and that's at the bar or the walk-up window from outside.
Now, the walk-up window from the outside, then anybody could walk up. How do you control that aspect of it?
Just like if they were walking in from the inside. I mean, they'd have to be waited on a bartender there, and if there were any questions, they would not get served.
That would be my only concern. Lindsay, have you got anything?
Just other than, do you guys plan to have live music outdoors at all?
Maybe in the future. We don't have any immediate thoughts of that. If we were allowed to, I guess. Our location is pretty good, favorable for that. We are near the corner of Empire, right between Vision Point and Ancho and Agave, and across from a graveyard. So it's all commercial. We wouldn't be, disturbing the public from there. There's no residential close.
That's good.
Maybe the graveyard people. I don't know.
You never know.
Never know.
I've seen some of those movies. But
Mayor, can I make a point of clarification?
of course,
Commissioner Jordan, you were asking about the window from the map that was submitted. The window to access the beer or the bar would only be for those that are in the enclosed area of the volleyball, bocce ball, outdoor dining area.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Good
You're
point.
thank you. Commissioner Powell, anything else?
That's all I had for questions.
George, you're breathing
I have a
hard.
few
I know
questions.
you want to ask
Yes.
something. Okay.
I do. I just, you move fast, Mayor. So if I got something I
This
want
is
to ask,
fast.
I
I thought
gotta get in there
we've been
fast.
futzing around here.
Yeah, you're slowing down a little. I don't know. Anyway,
damn.
to get, I was wondering about the licensed premises. The licensed premises here seems to be more than just, I mean, seems to be open to people who would be under 21. Is that correct?
Yes, if they, yeah, the coffee and the Pokeworks food, yeah, those are
Right.
no alcohol.
I mean,
served
and
there. Yeah.
I will say, full disclosure, we'd met, not you and I don't think so much, but Dr. Dunn and I had met and discussed, various option types. I'm seeing here that it says tavern, and then, we have alternative taverns in Bloomington. Can't have persons under 21 on the premises unless they're, with consent of a guardian or parent,
Mhm.
or working there under certain very limited circumstances. So I'm wondering whether a restaurant which would allow persons under 21 to be present, people who maybe were eating coffee, getting coffee elsewhere, but were joining persons who purchased alcohol and then walked around the food court.
So you're just
If that
asking
might
whether
be
or
more-
not, is there a reason, Mr. Hayward, just get cut to the point, that you did not ask for a
Well, I'm going to
restaurant
get to an
license?
entertainment license as well that may
Or a
may-
different type of license? Yeah,
right.
Mr. Hayward.
I guess I'm not following the question specifically.
It was just a question as to.
I didn't get a chance to finish it.
Sorry.
I interrupted because I got where George is coming from, so I apologize. But it's just, is there a reason why you didn't ask for something other than a tavern license?
No, I mean, I guess maybe ignorance of the, I
Right.
mean, although I read it all.
Sure.
And filled it out. Ignorance of the minutia of
Well, but
the difference.
Yeah, at the end of the day, though, it would have to be us who'd fine him, right, George? I mean, do we really care?
Pardon me?
It would have to be us who would fine him. Do we really care?
Well, we care because we're making a recommendation for a particular type of creation of a license to the city council. We ought to know what we're recommending.
Well, no,
And there is a difference.
But do we care that? Okay, every now and then. I mean, if something, we're not real. I'm not realistically going to find this guy if somebody came in and wasn't drinking, right?
Well, we are, in fact, our next order of business has to do with minors in a tavern. So I would suggest that perhaps we would be interested in whether minors in a tavern, like what kind of license we give if in fact there'll be minors in the premises
Gotcha.
where the alcohol
Well,
is served.
fair enough.
Having said that, if I could ask a couple questions, maybe we could
Sure.
clear that up. So, with regard to the type of license, the type of license you would be looking for would allow minors to be on the premises. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And with respect, do you have some projections as to the revenue that would come from either sales? Now, these are different entities, aren't they?
They are, but
Yeah.
all owned by the same partnership.
I see. Okay. And then with another, do you guys have any projection as to which of your sales would be from entertainment and sports recreation, say, as opposed to alcohol?
Entertainment. Are you grouping entertainment with sports recreation? Is that?
Yeah, we do. And we have a license that's called Entertainment Sports Recreation.
Okay.
And that's appropriate, where alcohol will make up no more than 40% of the revenues. I know this is a new business, but I'm wondering if you have any projections, perhaps based on other models.
We do. We have an estimate of, and I'm gonna have to think about the exact number. 12,000 to 18,000, somewhere in there for volleyball. The rights to play volleyball, they're the leagues, in other words, their fees. The alcohol section, the bar itself, really depends on obviously what level of reopening we're at, but somewhere in the neighborhood of the maybe 800,000 up, perhaps.
Did you say 800,000?
Uh-huh. And
So we're definitely not in a situation where we're talking about an entertainment license. Because that's nowhere near,
Right.
half of it. Well,
Um,
So significantly more than the sports is your.
Sure.
Okay.
And they kind of feed off of one another. But purely
Sure.
the league fees are pretty minor. And then
Right.
the bar business is projected to be, higher probably than the other two businesses. Although the PokeWorks, if we do anywhere near the national average, they will compete for that title. And then the coffee shop, we're expecting somewhere around the 450,000 mark or so.
I see.
gotcha.
Um,
Okay, so
I think what had been perhaps hanging it up was that the different businesses would be the restaurants. And if we want to perhaps do a motion where it's a tavern, or you recommend a tavern, or in the alternative a restaurant license, and that legal agrees to work with them towards defining perhaps the premises, and we could try doing that if the desire is to move it ahead. Otherwise, we may need to come back with an actual request for a particular type of license that works under our ordinances.
Yeah.
Because I think the hardest part is normally, this is a shared premises with several places that will be serving minors, and there'll be minors in the same spots with the alcohol. So,
So
we're willing
actually,
to.
if I could, at this point then, just
Go ahead.
if we could have a motion to approve this, send it to the council with the likelihood that this is a restaurant license that would be worked out with staff between now and the time that this comes before the city council. Do we have agreement on that? And then I'll ask Mr. Boyle for any further clarification. Is there agreement on that?
I make a motion to pass this to the council
with those stipulations.
with those stipulations that it could be a restaurant license.
Okay, Commissioner Jordan, are you okay with that?
Well, I guess if we're switching it from a tavern license to a restaurant license, then that does change the scenario, correct?
Correct. And the main thing there is that, and Mr. Boyle can clarify this, but the main thing there is just that the majority of receipts, total non-alcohol receipts, need to be over 50%. Maybe not every month, but generally speaking.
So just to make sure I'm clear on this, so then we're moving from a tavern license to a restaurant license, is that correct?
That would be the recommendation. Now, whether or not the staff is able to get this together is another question, but that we would work with Mr. Hayward as we're moving forward and recommending this to the council. But it would be a restaurant license. And that way, people who are under 21 can come inside and there are no issues.
Right. And I was going to say, in addition to the percentages, there's also a description aspect to our restaurant ordinance. So if directed, we would try to work with the applicant towards getting it to fit within the code. If not, we may have to take some other steps, such as, that would be decided at that time in order to make sure that they're getting a good lawful license that's going to get them insurance, et cetera.
Yeah, Mr. Hayward, do you have any questions of us? Do you understand where we're coming from? Or do you have any concerns?
I do. I have like maybe a comment that probably doesn't change anything, but there will be the hours of operation are, I guess minors still could come in the general area, but our coffee shop closes at 6. Our bar opens at 4. So there will be a slight overlap there. And then the PokeWorks joint closes at 9 p.m. So there will be some overlap, but not much.
Well, and these are the kinds of things that perhaps staff could work out as long as the Liquor Commission's okay with this.
It
Uh,
feels like to me, I know that you have separate areas where you've got the Pokeworks is going to be your restaurant, you've got your coffee bar, and then you've got a separate bar with alcohol.
That's
So
correct.
to me, if you're requesting a tavern license, that's stating that you cannot have anyone under the age of 21 on the premises at all. That's correct, right, George?
Well, there are
except
limited
they could have their,
exceptions.
yeah, they could have their parents
they're-
permit
With
them.
parents. I'm just thinking of, Gill Street, for example,
Right.
similar. They're
Yeah.
a restaurant during the day, but they have a bar, they play volleyball, all these things, and they have a restaurant license.
Right.
I mean, if directed and approved, because I don't hear anything on the record or from the commissioners that indicate there's a concern with, say, there's the ownership. If directed, we can work with the applicant to try to recommend to council a license that would either be tavern or restaurant. As it appears from the record, entertainment, sports would not be appropriate, but we could try to work with the
I think that's what we're
applicant.
saying. Is that correct, Commissioner Powell and Commissioner Jordan? Is that correct? I see a nod. Commissioner Jordan?
Well, I guess my concern is.
Nod loud for the record, please.
Pardon me?
I said nod loud for the record, please. We need an audio record.
Okay, Commissioner Jordan.
I guess my concern is, are we walking a fine line between granting a tavern license versus a restaurant license or vice versa? I think it should be one or the other.
Right. Well, and I think that's what staff would do. I mean, my inclination would be maybe we need to go back and tweak our ordinance and to expand some of the exceptions of people who can go into a tavern. But anyway, we can, at this point, I think what we're doing is suggesting that we send this forward and see if staff can work something out. We want this to happen, Mr. Hayward. I'm sorry. It's just that there are, we do have to check certain boxes, et cetera, as we're going forward. And obviously we want you to succeed. We want this community to succeed. We want jobs. We want economic investment. So all of that being said, Mr. Boyle, are you confident that we can bring something back by next month?
Yes, we'll try. We'll certainly try our best. I think we can do that.
Okay, and then the worst case scenario is we could approve this as a tavern license and then maybe make some recommendations or tweaks to our code about what tavern licenses are supposed to be and some of the exceptions. So at this point, though, I'm going to go ahead and just call the question. I think we've talked about this, ad nauseum. So we do have a motion on the floor, right? And so this is to recommend this to the council pursuant to our staff working with Mr. Hayward toward the appropriate type of license, because we want him in business. We just want to make sure that this fits our code. Is that correct? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
And just to be clear, Commissioner Powell made the motion and Commissioner Jordan made the second. Calling roll, Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes. Thank you very much. And you go ahead, Mr. Hayward, and then you'll be working with George and our staff and Ms. Mohan and others to make this happen. Thank
Very
you so
good.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, we have a continued hearing under number 8 on Chasers, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Mr. Boyle. Do you have some?
Yes, Mr. Lenz is a representative for Mr. Nerchesky, who's the manager for Europe Inc., the corporation that controls Chasers, and he has registered to be here. I don't know, if he wants input, but he should be unmuted at this point if he is muted, so that he can participate as well and make a statement.
Are you there?
When or if necessary.
Mr. Lenz, are you there?
Yes, I am, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
There's no Your Honor. I'm just the mayor. I'm just happy when
okay.
people don't call me 4-letter words, but thank you so much.
He's gotten over Your Highness, so now he sounds just the mayor. I
Stop,
guess.
George. Don't start these rumors, dude.
Okay, anyway, with
George,
regard to this.
excuse me, not George. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Lenz, Bob.
Oh, actually, I was going to just go ahead.
I think I want to defer to George Boyle to to present a summary of where we are, and I would chime in after that if that's okay.
Okay, certainly.
All right, thank you. This involves a complaint brought by the city alleging minors in a tavern, and during the period of late January or early February, there have been a few continuances, some at the request of the respondent, if you will, or the licensee, and then some just really necessitated by the COVID situation. We believe that we're very close to a settlement in this case, and I think it's fair to say that the parties certainly we're moving, and I think Mr. Lenz is in agreement that this be continued to August 11th, the next regularly scheduled Liquor Commission hearing.
Okay. Mr.
Yeah,
Are you okay with that?
yes, we are. Thank you very much.
Okay. Alrighty. Does anybody have any objections to that? Because I don't know that we need a motion on that. Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Powell, no objections?
No objection.
No concerns? Okay.
No
Alrighty.
objections.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we will, Mr. Boyle, did you want to add something?
I was just going to say it is cleanest for the motion because we're continuing a matter on the agenda to a date certain.
Oh, okay, already. Can we have a motion to approve, to move this consideration until the next Liquor Commission meeting,
Which is what was the date on that?
August
11.
11th? Thank you.
I'll make a motion. We continue to August the 11th.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Commissioner Powell. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Powell,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner.
Yes, thank you very much. At this point, I don't think we have any old or new business. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
I second.
Whoa, Commissioner Jordan, man, you were fast at that adjournment. Okay, so
He was
moved
on it.
by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner Jordan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Right. Thank you.